Let's talk about November 18th, 2025. For a few hours, it felt like a huge chunk of the internet just disappeared. So what exactly happened? And more importantly, why? So, think back to that day. Did you try to open an app, maybe check a website, and just get nothing? Well, if you did, I can tell you right now, it wasn't your Wi-Fi. It wasn't just you. This was something way, way bigger.
I mean, the scale of this thing was just massive. We're not talking about a few small websites. We're talking about the giants. Your social media, the AI tools you use every day, your music, your work software, even online gaming. It was like a huge slice of the internet just got switched off.
And you know, this wasn't just some digital headache. No, this spilled over into the real world, big time. People couldn't even use the kiosks at McDonald's. I read about one parent whose kid's daycare app went down. The teachers had to go back to pen and paper to check kids in. It just goes to show you how tangled up our real lives are with these online services. So yeah, for a few hours, it really was the day the internet just stalled. So what did that actually look like for everyone trying to get online?
If there was one message that defined that day, it was this: 500 internal server error. You've probably seen it before. It's that super generic error that basically says, hey, it's not you, it's me. Except on November 18th, it felt like me was pretty much the entire internet.
So who's the culprit? Who do we point the finger at? Well, this is where it gets interesting, because the answer is a single company. A company most of us have probably never even heard of. That company is Cloudflare. So what do? The best way to think about them is like the internet's bouncer and super fast delivery service all rolled into one. They stand at the door, keeping bad guys out, protecting sites from attacks, and they also make sure everything loads super quickly for you. They're a huge piece of the hidden plumbing that makes the whole internet actually work. And I love this quote from Professor Alan Woodward. He called them the biggest company you've never heard of. And that's so true. They're this invisible titan. You never type in Cloudflare.com to do anything, but I guarantee the websites you visit every single day are leaning on them to stay online. And if you want a number to really grasp that scale, get this: an estimated 20%. 20% of all websites on the internet use Cloudflare. That's 1 out of every 5. So yeah, when a company that big stumbles, the whole internet is going to feel the earthquake.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's break down the timeline, minute by minute, of how this whole thing went down.
Okay, here's the play-by-play. At 11:20 UTC, the alarms start going off inside Cloudflare. Something's wrong. Less than 30 minutes later, at 11:48, they go public. Yep, we're investigating a major issue. It takes them till 13:09, so a little over an hour, to find the root cause and start deploying a fix. And then by 14:43, the all-clear is given. The whole thing, from start to finish, lasted just over 3 hours.
And here's the crazy, kind of funny part. The outage was so massive, it took down Down Detector. The website everyone rushes to see if other websites are down. That's how you know it's a really, really bad day on the internet, when the site that tracks outages is itself having an outage.
And this wasn't just about us being annoyed we couldn't scroll through social media. Think about the money. All those online stores, big and small, that rely on Cloudflare. For them, every single minute the site is down is cash just vanishing. One estimate I saw pegged the economic damage at somewhere between $5 and $15 billion per hour. Just staggering. Okay, so we know what happened. We saw the chaos. But the billion-dollar question, literally, is why? What was the actual glitch that brought the internet to its knees? So you might be thinking this was some sophisticated cyber attack, right? Nope. The truth is almost boringly simple. It all came down to a single configuration file. See, they have this file that's automatically created to help manage online threats. It happens all the time. But on this particular day, for some reason, the file just ballooned. It got way too big. And when their system tried to load this giant file, it just choked. It crashed. And that single crash set off a domino effect across their entire network. And to their credit, Cloudflare was super upfront about this. They put out a statement basically saying, hey everyone, this was on us. It was a self-inflicted wound, a bug in their own code. They made it crystal clear, this was not a hack. No malicious activity was involved at all. An event like this, caused by one tiny glitch, really forces us to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. It makes us ask some tough questions about how the internet is actually built. And this quote from Alp Toker at NetBlocks just nails it. He says that because Cloudflare is used so widely, it's become one of the internet's largest single points of failure. And that's a key term here.
It basically means that if that one single point breaks, the whole system that relies on it goes down. It's like having only one key to 1,000 different doors.
And you know what? This isn't some one-off freak event. Just look at the pattern. The month before this, Amazon's AWS and Microsoft's Azure both had major outages. A few months before that, it was a CrowdStrike update that caused chaos everywhere. We're seeing this happen again and again.
And that really brings us to the heart of the problem, right? We think of the internet as this huge, sprawling, decentralized thing. But the reality is, it's increasingly propped up by just a handful of these gigantic, crucial companies. And when one of them has a bad day, the whole internet shakes. It shows just how fragile our digital world has become.
So that's where we'll leave it, with a pretty big question. Look, it's incredibly convenient to have these giants running the backbone of the internet. But what we saw on November 18th is the price of that convenience. It's a massive, system-wide risk. And it really makes you wonder, have we accidentally built a digital world that's just too fragile to handle even a single stumble?